welcome to a video that's a bit different for my channel. You know what? Back in the very early days of this channel, I uploaded videos on my top 11 episodes of favorite cartoons. Said videos got taken down because, well, 14-year-old Waluigi didn't understand how the YouTube copyright rules worked. Well, hopefully my current 21-year-old self will understand how to not upset the copyright gods, because today I plan on unveiling my top 11 favorite cartoons of all time. These are all cartoons that have made me laugh over the years, and I have enjoyed each of them for various reasons and at different times. Some of them are more recent discoveries, some are back from the earliest days of childhood. In any case, here are my top 11 favorite cartoons of all time. At number 11 we have The Cleveland Show. Probably not the most popular pick in the world, but remember, these are my personal favorites, not any sort of greatest cartoons of all time list. The Cleveland Show probably isn't even the most popular Seth MacFarlane spin-off show, as that would go to American Dad. But despite only lasting 3 seasons, I prefer The Cleveland Show's humor and pace. For one, there's the great theme song where there's old friends and new friends and even a bear. Cleveland's family gets into similar hijinks as the Griffin family from Family Guy. I remember binging all 3 seasons of this show on Netflix when I was younger, with my favorite characters being the little boy Rollo and Tim the Bear, because it wouldn't be a Seth MacFarlane show without an anthropomorphic animal, now would it? At number 10 we have Total Drama. Now as an American, I have been fed a steady diet of crappy reality TV shows. That's what TV producers in this country expect me to like. And you know what? I've actually liked some of them, particularly shows that involve Gordon Ramsay yelling at people. Says things like, "The food is raw," or "Where's the lamb sauce?" etc. However, Total Drama is a cartoon that takes a satirical look at the idiocy of reality TV. For one, there's that thing on reality TV shows where everyone gets interviewed off to the side. Well, Total Drama makes that happen while everyone is on a bug-infested toilet. Some of my favorite characters on the show include Goth Girl Gwen, plus the lovable fat guy Owen. The show certainly has a cult following, which I was probably a part of during my early middle school days. At number 9 we have South Park. Now this show has been on since the 90s. I'm not going to act like I've seen every episode of the show, far from it. But the way it spoofs part of our culture has always been bitingly clever, even if that means that they're harsh on gingers. Now my favorite part of South Park is definitely its songs. Amidst the holiness of Christmas, there are 2 South Park songs I play to lighten the mood. Cartman's ridiculous version of "Oh Holy Night" and Mr. Garrison's "Merry Christmas." Then there's the songs from the South Park movie. Of course, "Blame Canada" is a classic, but the song that always stood out to me was "Uncle by the legendary Canadian duo of Terrence and Phillip. But perhaps no South Park song made me laugh quite like Chef's "Chocolate Salty Balls" song. Rest in peace, Isaac Hayes. The show creators made fun of you for your Scientology, but they definitely still appreciated you. At number 8 we have another show that I like more for the musical acts than anything else, Animaniacs. Now a couple years ago on this channel I did a couple Animaniacs related parodies on my channel, where I did Yakko's 50 States, but only the 50 states that I visited, and I did the legendary Nations of the World song, but only from the 50 countries that have watched my channel the most. Then there's also their song about every president in US history. As an aspiring history teacher, I think Animaniacs is a super funny and engaging way to learn about social studies topics. So yeah, this is the only cartoon on my list that can be considered educational, I suppose. I even enjoy the Hulu reboot that was recently done, as it was made by Steven Spielberg. At number 7 we have Fairly Odd Parents. For me as a younger kid, I watched this a lot at my Grammy and Poppy's house. For me, this was always the second greatest Nickelodeon show. The obvious pick for number 1 will come up later in the list. There was something that seemed awesome about being Timmy Turner, someone with magic little fish who gather every wish, because as a little kid, why the heck wouldn't I want a giant chocolate shake? But of course there was trouble in Timmy's life, as he had to deal with his bratty babysitter Vicky and his stupid parents. One particularly memorable aspect of Timmy's parents was his dad's rivalry with, gasp, Dinkelberg. That man was a greater pain in the neck than Flanders is for Homer Simpson. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's where they get the joke from. I also remember the baby Poof being born on the show. Needless to say, that Poof is more cuddly than this Poof. At number 6 we have Looney Tunes. Now this classic show, along with one other that's coming up in a bit, They are from what I would call the blood and guts era of cartoons. Everything was about pure, unadulterated violence. And when you think about it, it makes sense. The people who made it lived through World War II and were living through the Cold War, so what else could be on their mind but guns, bombs, flames, and the like? As an example of Bugs Bunny being a legendary character, there was one episode where he's playing a piano concerto. An audience member keeps coughing, and needless to say, that bugs. So what does he do? He just shoots the guy dead and keeps playing. Then there's the legendary cast of characters around him, whether it be Elmer Fudd hunting for wabbits or my favorite, Yosemite Sam. This dude would always get blown up by bugs. The show made voice actor Mel Blanc the stuff of legend because, let's face it, this show is a legendary cartoon. At number 5, we have another cartoon that has entered legendary and iconic status, The Simpsons. Now, how is it that a show that's been around since 1989 just keeps on kicking? Well, most diehard Simpsons fans know the show was better back in the day. But hey, sometimes when you've achieved that iconic status, you just keep cranking them out. When I was younger, I actually watched the newer seasons, but now I've seen the older episodes thanks to Disney+. The Simpsons offers a brilliant parody of what is often the mediocrity of middle-class life. It is a clear influence on cartoons that came after it, including one show that will be discussed later on in the countdown. Because it's been on so long, there's so many iconic characters. Some of my favorites include Krusty the Clown, a man whose personal life is much different than the show he puts on for the kids. And of course there's Moe Szyslak, the bartender. Bart's pranks on this man are probably my most favorite thing on the show because I guess I still have the mind of a 12-year-old sometimes. At number 4, we have the other cartoon that's a true oldie but goodie, Tom and Jerry. Yeah, I'm not talking about any of the modern garbage they've created. I'm talking old school. The 40s and 50s Hanna-Barbera era was where it was at. Now, what's notable about this show is that, unlike the other cartoons on this list, it doesn't rely on written dialogue, at least not too much. The talking is only saved for important stuff like, I don't know, Tom trying to woo a female cat. The actions speak louder than the words in this cartoon, truly. Whether it's Jerry turning Tom into a bunch of bowling pins, or Tom ordering a bunch of thug cats to take out Jerry's cousin Muscles, there's a bunch of interesting events in this show. But I think most legendary of all is Tom's iconic screams. I'm not going to play them for fear of upsetting the copyright gods, but if you want to see true comedy gold, look up a compilation of Tom screaming. William Hanna was an absolute menace in the voice studio, needless to say. At number 3, we have Phineas and Ferb. When I was a kid, we were not so lucky as Phineas and Ferb. First of all, we didn't have 104 days of summer vacation. We got out mid-June and got back in late August, so that was significantly less days. Second of all, as creative as my brother and I were, we weren't exactly on the level of these two boy geniuses. They built everything from a roller coaster to a cheese land. It's a cheese land, holy shit! And of course, a backyard beach. All the while, their pet platypus would fight the evil Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Doof has gotta be one of the greatest cartoon villains of all time. I mean, if ever you were to root for/love a villain, this would be the guy. Whether it's his childhood trauma from Balloony or in the Garden Gnome, to his iconic "if I had a nickel" quote, Doof is the stuff of legend. Overall, I would say this is absolutely one of my favorite childhood cartoons, but it's only my second favorite. Right, Sabrina? That's because at number 2 we have SpongeBob Squarepants, the cartoon that defined a generation. Seriously, I was born smack in the middle of Gen Z, seeing as it runs approximately from 1997 to 2009, as I was born in 2002. Nothing defined our childhood quite like this show. We'd get those candy Krabby Patties under the Christmas tree, or other SpongeBob toys. And to this day at college, I partook in the SpongeBob trivia contest via Kahoot. Out of 36 people, I came in 6th, when only the top 5 got prizes. Rest assured, though, when it comes to seasons 1 through 3, I still consider myself a diehard fan. We all know the show jumped the shark after the movie, but when it comes to those early seasons, there's too many iconic moments to name. Just know that some of my favorites include the Krusty Krab training video, pizza delivery, and of course, Band Geeks. And a moment that lives on to me is Mr. Krabs selling SpongeBob's soul for 62 cents. Now that's next level greed. You know, the funny thing about SpongeBob is I initially didn't like the show because Some scenes scared me when I was a little kid, but around the time I was 5 or 6, I warmed up to the show, and I remember the exact moment I started liking it. It was, "Hey Squidward, wanna go jellyfishing?" "No." "Are you sure?" "Yes." Absolute classic, but not quite my all-time favorite. And finally, at number 1, we have the one and only Family Guy. I watched this at a time right before I was a teenager as I wanted to engage in some rebellion. I needed to branch out from my old childhood shows and watch something a bit raunchier. Well, as it turned out, Family Guy was the solution. I loved it so much that during the first night I watched it on Netflix, because it used to be on Netflix, I binge watched the first 5 episodes. I think that's what makes the show truly special, though, is the Brian-Stewie chemistry. That wasn't seen so much in the early seasons. And while seasons 1 through 3 certainly has its apologists / diehard fans, I think Family Guy truly peaked after its cancellation. It came back roaring with the fantastic season 4, with so many classic episodes like PTV or Patriot Games. Who can forget the classic FCC song? I certainly can't. In any case, it stayed amazing through about season 9, and it definitely has fell from grace a bit since then. Still, I'll even defend newer Family Guy episodes as being pretty funny, and I still watch the new episodes on Hulu. There are uniquely messed up characters on the show, with 2 in particular I'm thinking of, Quagmire and Herbert. The main protagonist, though, Peter, he probably isn't even as great a character as Homer Simpson. In fact, he's pretty much a ripoff of Homer, but it's the characters around him that make the show great. So what are some of your favorite cartoons of all time? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you within a couple days for the next video. Bye-bye.